Rachel, I am so grateful to have you on the Be Loved podcast today and have the chance to hear more of your story.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for saying yes. And thank you for all the things you're bringing into the world. You know, I've not met you in person, so you're someone who I've found through the wiles of the internet. And yet you're someone who is connected to people I know in person, connected to the Swedenborgian diaspora, as I like to call it. So I'm just so happy to have this conversation and ask you my question about how love has called you in your life.
Well, first of all, I think I want to begin by saying thank you for having me and for asking such a beautiful question. The idea that love is not just an emotion or a feeling, but a divine force, really, that orders life and shapes consciousness and calls us towards goodness. So, when I land on that thought, that matters deeply to me. And it's something that I can see has carried me through shadowy, dark places where I was not feeling that, and also given me tools and deepened my resiliency to keep searching for it and knowing it within my own heart. And so it's a big, beautiful word.
It is.
It's a big one.
It's so big. It's so big. And I love the two touch points you've named of it, that on one level you can recognize the way love has carried you through the shadowy places, and then the way it calls to you when you come out. So there's sort of a way in which it's there and you reach for it.
It's always been there. Yeah, it's always been there. But for me to actually find love, I feel like at a very young age, I stopped believing in love. I was in a community where I was surrounded by beauty and church and teachings and ideals that had a lived appearance, but they felt so distant and they felt so like something I had to earn. So I learned at a very early age that love was something you worked for and proved that you were worthy of. So that sadly was my understanding and interpretation of what love was.
I appreciate you naming that, Rachel, because that's probably why I'm doing what I'm doing. I have the concern that sometimes the structures of church do perpetuate that understanding, because the buildings are so pretty and the robes are so white and the people sit in the pews and the minister stands in front, and even without intending to, there's sort of sometimes can be that message of distance between. So how did you get out? My suspicion is you do not feel that distance anymore.
I do not feel that.
Maybe that's the heart of the question for you.
Well, it's something that calls to me still, is like,
Yeah.
I was such a young child. Like, I remember feeling like I don't believe in love at 10 years old, like maybe 11 or 12, but just that there was no such thing, and you had to show up. And this is only important for me to follow the thread of love, to choose that I didn't believe it anymore, and to go through feeling so lost. I was really living on my own at 16 years old, which gave me a certain level of resiliency and fortitude and tenacity. But it also started to deepen this belief that you have to work really hard. Nobody's coming. You have to be a good person, show up, and you'll get what you get. And hopefully that will be good. But what started happening for me was, at the same time I was carrying this efforting, this like strong warrior, I'll use warrior mentality, my spirit couldn't metabolize my feelings, and I developed bulimia. And it was a way of me managing those unbearable things, right? And unmet longings and that quiet desperation of trying to feel okay inside myself. And that went on for many years until I was pregnant with my first child. And suddenly the love of becoming a mother and carrying a child, it was the mother, that archetype of mother shifting from maiden to mother, that had me realize I matter. I matter to this child right here.
Yeah.
And I will, and I stopped just like that. Like it wasn't, it wasn't something I processed. It wasn't something I had to, recenter myself.
Hmm.
Loved it.
Yeah, love did that. Well, and I wonder this energy of efforting and doing. I mean, there was a part of you that was committed to the doing and the warriorship. And it sounds, I mean, I imagine part of you, I'm going to be a warrior for this child, so even
Right.
if you couldn't do it for yourself, you could do it for your child
Yeah.
instantly. Hmm.
Just like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Just
good to
like that.
remember we can change just like that. It's good to remember that.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
But also, it was still sort of in survival mode.
Yeah.
Um, there were details I won't go into that still had to be
Yeah.
very much survival mode.
Sure.
And but that pattern to follow love in action, love, like now what can I do that makes felt like it made more of a difference. And being a mother was probably my greatest joy. I have 3 daughters, and I loved being mama, and ended up becoming a single mother, divorcing after 15 years, and still believing in love. And um,
And when did the belief come in? Was it
it,
was it
that
was it the being pregnant?
I
That
feel
was
like
when
it.
you
I feel like it was
Yeah.
being pregnant. It was
Yeah.
it was the mother archetype coming in,
Yeah.
and the resourcefulness. But that also is so external because it's still not really love for self, it's love for other. And mothers can get so, women in general can get so conditioned to show up for everybody else and care give as their only purpose. And being a martyr was definitely a part of that for me, stumbling into giving too much, feeling I became a massage therapist slightly before the divorce because I knew I was going to need to take care of these kids. What am I going to do? And there was a way that I still hadn't landed in self love because it was about taking care of everybody else or having a sense of belonging or purpose. People talk about, needing to find their purpose. And I feel like that sort of jammed me up a little bit because my sense of belonging was in my giving still. And it wasn't until my children grew up and I was pretty burned out, like that I feel like we have 2 tanks. We have a tank of self-effort and we have a tank of surrender. I had to empty my self-effort to the point where
Mm-hmm.
my body was like taking over and saying, you will be on the couch.
Yeah.
I had like adrenal fatigue and didn't know what was going on. And
Yeah. I like that. I resonate with that two tank metaphor, and we will run on the fumes as long as sometimes it has to be really, really emptied out before we're willing to consider there might be another tank available.
or we don't even
Yeah.
know. We don't even know. I
Yeah.
mean, I was a yogi for 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
I opened a yoga studio and I was
Mm-hmm.
still, there was still a part of me that loved it because I could do something that was really hard and be good at it. I
Mm-hmm.
was also really good at the yin and the teaching the mindfulness and the
Mm-hmm.
letting go, but I needed that. I
Interesting.
was giving it for everybody else, but I couldn't really let myself have it.
I think that's so, so, so common. So
Yeah,
you were on the journey. You were looking for ways to be love. You were becoming a
I
massage
was.
therapist and a yoga teacher, and so you were on the path. I know in reflection now, you see how you weren't maybe receiving fully. But what do you think you received from that time, or that period of time of searching and building?
Hmm.
Were you able to give even though you weren't receiving fully yet?
There were times I remember in motherhood giving from a burned out, empty place. I mean, I feel like it's just a part of motherhood that needs to be acknowledged. It's part of what it takes. It's the shape sometimes. And that doesn't mean that you're not doing it right. That doesn't mean that you're failing somehow. It is hard to get up with those babies and recover and rest and find yourself. I received in the giving. And there is a way that giving and receiving flow back and forth. In this conversation as an example, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a play. It kept the lights on. It kept, college tuition paid. Like think life happened. This
Yeah.
this is this is amazing. Life continued. I didn't really land into a place where I could receive until I was remarried to my husband, and he was of a different ilk than I had experienced in my life as far as what masculine energy looks like. The masculine for me has always felt higher than, distant, intelligence, and sort of not quite trustworthy. That somehow was laid into my DNA.
Mm-hmm.
And when I met Jason, it was like a flash of light. Like it was like something happened. I didn't even know what I was saying. My behavior changed. I was like, what is happening to me?
Who am I?
Who am I? And he just kept showing up in ways that I didn't
Mm-hmm.
know were available. I couldn't have dreamed of. His love, his support, his provision, and his vision, the way he sees things, a certain sense of being protected
Sure. Mm-hmm.
after not really feeling that in my life. Like there's somebody else who's got this. You don't have to do it.
Yeah.
And it's taken me still 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
Really keep trusting and
Mm-hmm.
following
Mm-hmm.
that this is real.
Mm-hmm.
It's a strange thing to admit.
Sure. Wow, that's interesting. So marriage and the masculine and the feminine have been a big part. It's definitely been a big part of my journey as well. I met my husband 10 years ago after many chaotic relationships. I don't know if it was as immediate. I think we're in a new phase now of really seeing each other, and we went right into child rearing. So a little different than doing marriage after all of that drama,
Right.
raising kids. But yeah, the I'm definitely reflecting a lot lately on our relationship and what it is to be healthy masculine and feminine, and how we all carry all of this other programming around how this is supposed to go based on fear. It's yeah, so it can be such a gift. I love hearing that it's been such a gift for you and an ease. Would you say the 8 years have been, well, how would you characterize this work with ease?
I feel like it's been a journey of embracing my own feminine nature, that so much of that self-efforting and do and be good and be of service was kind of tangled up in actually masculine energy. We all have both, right? The yin and the yang, and we need both. They both are vital. But I had so much tied up in my body around shame and those emotions that didn't get dealt with, that just got put aside because motherhood came along, and now everybody's off and they're alive and well. I needed time to allow those parts of myself to be held and be felt and move through me so I could find what else I was.
Yeah.
And that was really a new journey of love. That's when I started to turn towards myself, like self love. And it started with my body, like actually being able to put my hands on my body and love my body in a way that she had always longed to be touched by me,
Yeah.
to move her in ways that felt good, that weren't structured, poses that
Yeah.
was more fluid and more circular and spiral. You could even say they were movements that, if I'd done that, my dad would have said, "What are you doing?
What
Move
are you
yourself."
doing?
Oh my gosh. Oh no. But our fascia gets tied.
Yeah.
It turns into sort of plasticky and it gets
Hmm.
caught. And the circular, curvy movements that felt good helped unlock emotion. The grief. I thought I was going to do this and feel like enamored with myself. And what came up was grief, grief. So much grief had to move. And I had to learn how to actually feel my own body, even though I was a body worker, feel my own body and feel the life force and feel the pleasure of being in my body and allow these sensations to keep reminding me to feel her. And I really think of the body as her and the mind as the masculine, whether you're male or female.
Yeah. Wow. Well, the way you describe that feels so resonant with so many stories of embodiment. It's that freedom. And I wonder for you, was this like total commitment to listening to your inner impulse? Did you have anyone holding you through this time or any?
I started studying. I started following feminine teachers. Um, there were many of them. I can name them if you'd like me to. You know, some of it is like so far, so long ago, but I'm grateful for because it
Sure. Mhm.
started me on the step. Um, the woman that helped me unlock my body was Sheila Kelly with S Factor. Yeah. Like with the pole and everything, like what is happening? Like, what am I doing? Maybe you know, what is going on here? But
Mhm.
but that visibility and that sensuality and that joy of being in my body was something that had been shut down at a very young age. And that tapped me back into my Eros, that tapped me back into my life force and the heaven on earth that our bodies are designed to be, to experience the full spectrum of bliss from the heart to the body. And, that we women are designed to have extrasensory acuity. Every one of our senses is heightened compared to our masculine partners.
Yeah.
So you start taking a feminine creature and you put her into a masculine frame, which is our culture.
Which is our
she,
culture.
she is going to have to awaken to her truth and to her nature. And everybody's different.
Yeah. So there was an internal guidance that led you to teachers that helped to hold space for you and that kind of love moved through this unfolding. Would you say there were any other factors? I love you describing people and like naming names because I do. That's another theory of mine. I mean, love is not a disembodied reality. It's a reality that's lived. So we can be such beautiful mirrors and helpers to each other. So it sounds like you had some helpers.
Yeah, I studied with Mama Gina, her School of Womanly Arts. I studied with Maya Luna, she is an incredible teacher. She has poetry books. She has a podcast. I think it's gone on Substack now. I studied with Kasher Baniak, who wrote Unbound. I studied with Jillian Portier, who is all about masculine, feminine, energetics. Trying to think if there are other people in there. There was a woman named Isis for a while I studied with. People seem to show up in your life at the right times. And I studied with Maritza, I can't think of her last name, with Heartwork Journaling, which is where you see the little doodles that I do. And
Mm-hmm.
both both the movement and the doodling really help move the emotions through so that there's a safe way to feel what's going on and birth something more true, alchemized in some way.
The other reason I love hearing the names of people's teachers is just it's helpful to just put us in context of what it is to be alive as a human being right now. Like there weren't that many teachers necessarily available to us in 1960 or 40 or 30 or 20 or like just our species has gotten to this point where we do have our attention is very pulled in many directions. That's a reality, and it's very stressful. And when we direct our energy to it's my belief, when we direct our energy to love and to our longing, we can be exposed to incredible humans that can help us along the way. And I see you now as one of those incredible humans guiding the way for others. When you think of that time and all these teachers, do you feel like you're in a new phase than when you were? That's my sense of you, that you're maybe not looking outside anymore. You have your tools or your way to find yourself. Would you say that's true at this point?
Yes, I do. That desire, that longing that you speak of, I feel
Yeah.
like women, we have that. That's part of our nature, is that longing and desire. Um, Desire to teach has always been there. Desire to lighten the load, desire to understand in order to support has always been a part of it. And that desire isn't even me. Like I thought that was me, but it's not even me. It's just been
Mm-hmm.
placed on my heart as what I'm here for. And I can see the journey that I've been on and the purpose of it, so that I can be that kind of compassionate, understanding person, because I've walked through my own life, and I remember what seeds were planted in me and maybe can help nourish and support those to grow in other people. So, that remembering that desire is not even mine, that it's placed on my heart, and being devoted to being of service that way, that is in service to myself. It is both ways. And also that we as women on the planet, we have never been in such a great place as we are right now. My mother did not have access to funds. She did not have a credit card until the 80s. She was property. And um, that's not the masculine's fault. That's just how the culture was. Having access to money, women earning money, women having a say, women having homes, having, careers and jobs. I'm not like a woman's liber saying, we are as good as men. It's not about that.
Mm-hmm.
It's about, if that's on your heart to do, that's on your heart to do. And we can do that now. So we are really in a good place, a better place than we've ever been, to make a difference, to shift things, to transform maybe part of and find more balance in this
Yeah.
life. And that we can, I feel like in honoring the feminine, we take away that hierarchical way of seeing things, and everything is even, like it's like the horizontal, the day to day, the in the world, the way that you work and function when you're a mother is moment to moment in the world. And
Yeah.
that preciousness, that we're all having to confront maybe a little more, because the rug has gotten pulled out from under us a bit, is actually maybe exactly what we need.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It seems that way. I mean, when you say that about us being in the best position we've ever been, there's a little part of me that recoils because I feel so disconnected sometimes from the earth and from food and from place. I certainly sometimes have fantasies of a previous time when I would have been in a village with many sisters around me, that there's at the same time that we have more autonomy and more authority and more freedom, we live in a culture that is even more layered on with levels of kind of patriarchal history. And we have to navigate that culture and not be complicit with it, but building these new systems of egalitarian, grounded, moment to moment living. That does feel like what I'm up to right now. I recognize that, and it's quite a thing. It's quite a thing to shift gears. Do you find any tension in that right now in your life in terms of living this embodied life, this embodied reality, and kind of navigating the culture and are there any particular tensions that you hold?
That's a good question, Sage. One of the things that the feminine intrinsically holds is her capacity to create. So by that, like we could go back to the sperm and the egg. Like you give her a seed and she makes a human, right? So the idea that, I believe that the earth needs our help, right? That we are connected to the earth. And the more we live connected to the earth, the more we have that she has that creative potential to take what we're giving her and make more with it in a way that isn't just going to be taken and used again. So, that being one of the gifts of the feminine is that creative potential. And the other being her, the bodies. So, this isn't just women, ability to alchemize and transform, and recognizing our ability to deal with the shadowy places, to deal with the hard places. Like there's a lot of tension there. Yes, there's a lot of tension there.
Yes. Yeah.
um, and to alchemize and transform and deliver it and to give it back and to give it back to the world. That's what the feminine does. She takes it and she gives it back.
And remembering that power of alchemy, it's not about, wow, look at this crazy world we've created. Now we have to work very hard to recreate it. And it's recognizing that creation, it can occur on a very different level than this sort of mechanistic understanding. And makes me think of your quick change when you became a mother. Like my brain goes, how is this ever going to change? It's overwhelming. But my soul is like, it could change in an instant.
Yeah. Yeah,
It
about
could
that.
really. How about that? Yeah, it could. And that we're a part of that change.
Yeah, and that's really beautiful that we are participating in this creative system that is perhaps in a great rupture, but at the same time has so much potential
Yeah.
in that rupture. Yeah.
Yes.
Without creating more division and separation and having it be morality, judgment based.
Right.
Than
Well, and
all.
you've mentioned the energies of survival versus sort of the energy of thriving. And that survival bucket, you got a lot of energy, you had a lot of ability to live from there for a long, long time. And it feels to me like part of this moment in our world is like most people's survival buckets are getting very empty and it's not even like an option. Like I think of my grandparents, like they were very content to make money and get a better house than their parents had and sort of they felt really satisfied in that and they were successful in it. And it feels like there are some people who are still living that American dream, but it does not feel like the majority anymore. And there may have been a time when it was. So the search for purpose and meaning and safety almost needs to shift in terms of where we look for that.
Yes, within ourselves and in community.
So tell me about your life now, and because I know you are giving a lot. What's the balance like now in your journey of giving and love and sharing love with others and feeling it for yourself? How are you managing that balance?
Now I have to tell the truth. I didn't tell the truth before. Yeah,
It's
now I
kind
have.
of about that, isn't it? We have to tell the truth. Yeah. So you can't fake it.
I
Are there
can't fake
any environments where you fake it, or you're done with faking it?
I can't fake it because
Yep.
the feminine's frequency goes first. She doesn't lead, but her frequency goes first. So if I'm not good, you know the old saying, happy wife, happy life, or something
Yeah.
like that. If I'm not good, it gets reflected back to me in ways. So I just have to keep taking care of myself in ways that are tricky sometimes. I overdo, still happens. You know, I it's been 25 years of doing massage and it still happens every now and then that I get tricked. I think I'm the one doing it and I need to do more
Mm.
instead of trusting the process, staying in my body, letting the energy move through, not trying to fix, not getting involved with my ego.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. What
I'm
happens
much
when you get tricked? Do you notice it in the middle, at the end? I would love, this is my thing. So, any tips you have? What
okay.
happens when you go a little further than you?
Well, in my understanding of myself is that I'm either in my ego or I'm in my Eros. And when I'm in my Eros, I am alivened, I am love, I am full of life force energy. It's just pouring through and life is happening in a way that is pleasurable for everyone. And when I'm in my ego, it's dead. It's dry, it's boring, it's old news. It's like the bottom drops out.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
My brain still kicks in, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your
Mm-hmm.
brain is conditioned to keep you safe, avoid pain, and seek pleasure. So
Mm-hmm.
it's still there doing
Mm-hmm.
those important things to make sure I'm safe, but it's learning how to have that part serve the other and trusting that the other, that frequency, that feminine magnetism, for lack of a better term, aliveness, is actually more valuable.
Yes. That's the heart of the epiphany, that one of the epiphanies along my journey was having this moment where I was like, I think everything I have ever done that has been of any value has just been love moving through me. And all the tasks I've completed and all of the efforting, and maybe that gets a little tricky with, sometimes you have to work on fumes to, get your kid to school, or but maybe there's still, the love is still in there, it's just below the surface, but there really is something so much more powerful in that impulse and action of love, and the stuff we think we need to do, I just wonder if it's a distraction. I don't. So when you recognize you're in the ego and you're feeling empty, what do you do?
First of all, it's taken time to not self harm or criticize because when you see yourself there, it's a bit of a judgment. So to soften that judgment into honoring and descending past the judgments or the desires of what you want, how you want to feel, and just finding out what do you need right now. Speaking to yourself the way you would to a child. Many of us, if we were a parent talking to our 2-year-old, we would not be allowed to have that child. They would be taken away the way we talk to ourselves.
Yes, yes, yes. And they would be misbehaving all over the place. Yes.
So be gentle, be kind, be loving, breaking again, letting go of the thoughts about where you want to be, how you should be performing, getting it right, all that stuff. It takes time to kind of keep confronting that in a way that culture says you got to do this, you got to show up, you got to try harder, you got to stay strong. Like, so it's like you got to keep dipping yourself, just like a meditation. You have to keep dipping yourself into that space of so you can hold it. The same is true for letting go. Same is true for trusting you are enough. You're going to bed now. You're going to watch a movie and just be brain dead for a minute. Hold on. You'll come back. It'll be okay. Moving your body in a way that actually feels good to you, soaking in a tub, getting a massage. Sometimes you just need to receive.
I love the comparison you made to women's, um, when we care for children, it's an all day, 24-hour affair. And that's actually what life is an all day, 24-hour affair. Life is not a set of successful moments and failure moments. It's just what's happening right now all the time. And I think that's really where my ministry is being birthed from. You know, I call it be loved, be honest, be useful. But it's like if I'm doing those things in this given moment, then things are going to turn out okay, you know. And that's actually maybe more useful than having a big plan or having a big, you know, goal or end date. And that feels like a very important shift that's happened in my life. And it sounds like that's also how do you make plans now and create? Anything you might like to share about that before we wrap up in terms of what the work that you're called to be doing right now?
Well, I'm still doing massage. I do massage 2 days a week, and I watch my granddaughter 1 day a week, and I have
Lovely.
other grandchildren that I get to see 1 day a week, not usually
Mm-hmm.
for the whole day. So the fullness of life just with that is a lot. I am grateful to be able to still be doing massage. It really does force me, and I use that word carefully, but
Mm-hmm.
it really does force me to be in my body.
Yeah.
The work that I'm creating around sharing my coaching and to create classes and containers for women has a wide range of uses. That is where I have to keep filtering it through my head, like because I need that part to get the structure, to get the organization, to do the things. They
Mm-hmm.
need to go outward.
Yeah.
That's the masculine outward energy. So it's my journey right now is trying to
Yeah.
find that balance and playing with these two parts of myself and stepping into it, knowing that my primitive brain is going to say, seek pleasure, avoid pain, and stay safe. So that means the Eros has to come up a little bit more to remind it. Remember this, remember the love, remember the fullness, the creativity, the joy that comes from the work that you're doing and keep finding this union between the two. Yeah, and some days are easier than others. And when it feels like a struggle, it's like, okay, well maybe this isn't for me right now. Maybe this isn't for me right now. Maybe this is that part that says I should or I need to. What's wrong with me that I don't have? Blah blah blah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I love your honesty about the journey and the voices that continue to come in, and it does. I mean, it feels like the metaphor of it's just caring for a small child just sort of always works because you can't you can have a plan with a small child, but
Right.
the plan is going to change. The plan is going to change, and your energy level and their energy level is so vital to how you're navigating that and where the love is. Where's their curiosity and where's the playfulness. It's beautiful. Mm.
And that there's power there too. There's a certain level of bringing that through, not having strong masculine leadership in my life, whether it's, the full ladder of abstraction of the masculine, right?
Yeah.
Um, that I missed out on some of that
Mm.
confidence boosting, some of that resiliency that would have come with cherishing me and honoring where I was and bolstering me and pushing me to try things that maybe were a little bit hard.
Yeah.
That I can do that for myself through my own connection to love and recognize when it does feel like a lot who's talking.
Yeah. Yeah. When you say that, it makes me think of. Uh, I relate to that a lot because I also feel like I. There's so many things I don't know how to do. There's so many things I wasn't really nurtured to do, and there have been times in my life where I've looked at that and felt lots of self-deprecation about it. And the invitation just feels like, and love is moving through you. And so what's next? What's the next thing you want to learn, or that you want a direction that you're called to move in? And maybe before we end, I will point the question at what we were discussing before we got in the call of the freedom to choose where we're going or what we want to learn. You were reflecting on the do we have freedom? Do we have freedom when we start to feel this longing inside? Are we just choosing our lives, or are our lives choosing us? I wonder if you might have a comment about that. And I will share theologically, from my perspective, free will is very much about like, can I do what I want when I want? But when I think of spiritual freedom, I think of deep alignment with the love that is flowing through us. And so on some level, spiritual freedom is surrender and following. So it doesn't have that same free will, I get to do whatever I want. Is that how you might describe the freedom that you are living into now?
Yes, it's trusting it is going to be imperfect.
Yeah.
And organic.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
The feminine journey doesn't look like a calendar. It has to have room for fluxing and shifting and changing. That there's a supreme structure that's holding it all. That would be your higher power in some, right? That is orchestrating it all, and you're walking through that together. That might be how I might put it.
How you would describe it. Yeah. Well, a big part of what we're doing in this podcast is translating, because we have all these different words for things. And in my perspective, in the words I use of God and the Lord and divine providence, I mean, I think if God is going to speak to us, where do you think that we're going to get the message? It's going to be in here. It's going to be in our deepest longing. So I hear that in the way you have described your journey. And you're juggling a lot, but you are being a light. I mean, you are doing it. You are balancing the masculine and feminine and reaching so many people in very powerful ways.
Thank you, Sage. I really appreciate you saying that. And yeah, there's more than the heart. And we could talk about that another time. Right. There's power and the wisdom, the gnosis of the feminine organ system, like our pelvis, our pelvic bowl, our womb, yoni, whatever terms that we have for it. There is so much there that we have to awaken to, as far as our capacity to truly heal and hold this for ourselves and for the world.
Yeah. I appreciate you naming even all of those parts, because I completely agree. It's like I've spent a lot of time being pretty disassociated from my body, and I'm only just beginning to be honest, about my experience of what it is to be embodied in this way. And it does feel like if we are going to change the world, it's going to be, one set of cells at a time, one set of body parts at a time, because we're a part of the natural world. And so as we can be more loving to our own selves, we can inspire that in each other. And who knows, maybe it could change really quickly.
Who knows? Who knows?
Who knows?
Right? That third child, that third thing, the golden child, right? The masculine and the feminine coming together creates, and it can happen like that.
And it can happen like that. Well, thank you so much for your time, Rachel, and for the way you are following the call of love. And I'm excited for it, where it will lead.
And I love it.
Thank you, Sage. Thank you so much.
When we both are